I work for a company called Dunnhumby. This is the most complex slide I'm going to use. I was worried it's going to be the most complex slide in the morning, but Neil, thanks very much for taking that accolade away from me. It's really just showing our sort of growth. So it started literally with a husband and wife, the Dunn and the Humby, with the idea of data could help us understand more about customers. And if we looked at particularly transactional data, it could make sense and it could make better or support better business decisions. So I've been at Dunnhumby for 20 years as part of this sort of journey, and we've gone from more markets, more countries, and we're really in the world of sort of retailers and sort of brands. We are part of Tesco. They've gone from owning 50% of our business in about sort of 2001 to 100% today. So I'm in a rather strange situation. I report to the chief executive for Tesco, but only 10% of our revenue comes from Tesco. So always a fun place to be. So this is what we actually, we worry and we talk about every day. What's happening in the world of shopping. So I'm not going to talk too much about shampoo or dress design, but I was looking at what keeps retailers and brands awake today. And I talked to some people in your industry, and not sort of too many, but what's amazing is actually it's the same things. So retailers and brands are worrying about new economic models, they're worrying about the move to value, they're worrying about building brands, cultural change, broadening their offer, the economics of retention, the new channels to market, how do we deal with more customer data, and in particular, how do we deal with big data? So I think you'll see some similarities, and just on the basis of this morning's conversations, I'll pull some of those similarities out in the rest of the presentation too. This is a representation of the world of data. All the data in the world up until 2003 is represented by that first left-hand orange ball. For those of you who like numbers, and that's, I'm afraid to say me, that's 53 billion gigabytes or 53 exabytes of data. So if you took all the data in the world up until 2003, it would be that orange ball. Today, we generate that same volume of data in 48 hours. So we're all data publishers, we're all data creators, we're all part of this big data world. So we used to think in sort of, the 1990s that we had too much data, we didn't know anything. Actually, if you look at that right-hand chart, that is going to be 50 zettabytes of data, we believe, and other information companies too, by 2020. So that's 50 times larger than it is today. For those of you who like numbers, that's 10 kilobytes with 18 zeros on the end of it is the volume of data we'll be creating every 48 hours. So Benjamin Franklin talked about the certainty of death and taxes. The reality, if he was alive today, he'd talk about the certainty of death, taxes, and data. And one of the things that I'd sort of encourage you to think about is how all of this fits together. Yes, of course, you have a quantum change in your market coming with smart metering data, but you have bucket loads of data already today. Buckets loads is the less technical description. You are going to have to make sense of how it fits together with your financial data, your payment data, your research, your social networking data, what you're doing in the media space, the role of consumer location data, the mobile handset in all its forms. Eric was obviously just talking the specifics, and how consumers respond to your offer. So one of the things I think we all face with data is actually two things. Two things we're going to have to deal with today, and I think you're going to have to deal with even more so in your smart metering world. And the first one is insanity. And the reason I'd say that is Albert Einstein defined insanity as doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. And I think the challenge you have, or the opportunity you have, is to completely change the way in which utilities, electricity and gas is thought of. And you have to move away from this idea of just using the same processes, the same routes to market, the same channel, the same pricing mechanisms, the same things that haven't really worked for you in terms of building trust with consumers today. I come from the proposition, by the way, or the place that trust is actually the only asset any organisation truly has or needs to worry about. The other thing you're going to face is this, and I think it's even more difficult. Mark Twain said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." So, every day already in this big data world, people will tell you absolutely definite facts about your customers, your business, your consumption, your profitability, whatever else it might be. And of course, you're going to get it, that 50 times greater with the increasing volumes of data we're going to deal with in the future. But what truly is fact and what is opinion? And I say the most dangerous thing for any organization is when opinion becomes fact in the way that you think, the way that you operate, the way that you plan, the way that you build business models, the way that you actually build customer sort of engagement models. Fitting data together is already a challenge, back to that original sort of chart. So I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of segmentations. We always start with behavioral data. And the reason is, you have to look at sort of different views. You have to look at the profitability of customers, of course. But I always work on the basis that the profitability of customers is more often actually a response to your propositions, what you've built as an organization, than actually sort of customer behavior themselves. So, when customers learn how to work the system, we all know the best way to get cheap Sky TV is to phone them up and tell them you're about to cancel. Okay, the profitability of the customer diminishes, but actually that's because of your choices, the choices an organization has made in response to sort of consumer behavior. So you've got to work out how to build, profitable solutions. But if you start with profit, it's very hard to actually build sort of propositions that link to behavior or indeed link to attitudes. So getting segmentations that work together and sort of fit together is a key challenge for any sort of organization. And you've got to make it work because it goes right through from new product development to the economics of your accounting. And if they don't all hand off each other in the right sort of seamless way, then I think that's a difficulty and a challenge. So behavioral data for us underpins it. And just to explain this a little bit more detail, if you look at a product, I did say we obsess about certain things. So this is Tesco Healthy Living Natural Greek Yogurt. Highly recommended. Currently at 69 pence under the big price drop. If you actually talk to people who said they bought it, actually, talk to 1,000 customers, whatever it might be, only 24.8% actually did. So 75% of the people you're talking to as consumers of that product didn't actually buy it. Okay? And we know that because we obviously know who bought it in the shops, in the stores, recorded through the loyalty card, and then we talk to those same customers and we go, hang on, the two don't fit. If you want to see how it doesn't fit, talk to them about health. That's the, none of us eat donuts, none of us drink, none of us do any of those things until you actually look at what we consume in our baskets. So there's all sorts of reasons. Frankly, I don't expect people to remember that they've actually bought Tesco natural or Healthy Living natural Greek yogurt. But if you're relying on research information, then what is real behavior, what's claimed, and what is the difference, what are the fallacies sort of between them? So what we try to do is really build a deep understanding of sort of customers' DNA. And I'll explain what I sort of mean by that. We build DNA in several ways. So we work on the basis that you are what you buy, you are what you eat. Now, of course, that's increasingly becoming other sort of forms of behavioral data. You are what you tweet. You are what you are in terms of your social media and your sort of connections, your advocacy to your friends. But we put together billions of rows of data of what customers have bought over a period of time, and we use products that are markers that tell us about what matters to them to build these DNA profiles. So, do you buy products that are price sensitive? Do you buy products on promotion? Are you adventurous? Are you into convenience, fresh? Are you driven by kids? Are you driven by calories? Do you redeem coupons, finest luxury, foreign products, long life, early adopters? Things that are attitudinal, things that are related to products, things that are related to lifestyle, all defined by the idea you are what you buy. So we build these profiles. Now, one of the things that we do is we use them to simplify consumer behavior in the way that we talk to the business. I think one of the challenges for any organisation, and you undoubtedly face it today and will face it in even greater quantity, is how do you link the boardroom through to, I'll call it the shop floor, but you understand what I mean, with the same understanding and the same tools and the same segmentations and the same insights around customers. Because if the people in your call centre, the people in your sales force, the people actually going out there, if servicing these customers, if they do need visits to the home from time to time, if they don't understand who the customers are, what are you trying to achieve, how do you deal with them, what does it mean when a customer's in this segment, and the board don't have the same understanding, they're building the same strategies, the same sort of investment profiles, then of course you're going to get disconnections in the way the organisations have, or the organisation has. So linking together tens of thousands of employees with a consistent, constant, updated view of the customer and their behaviour is one of our constant challenges. We're huge advocates of loyalty. In simple terms, it varies by industry, but a loyal customer is worth at least 12 uncommitted customers. Now, you kind of know that. Every organisation knows that. But somehow, the economics of typically accounting drag us back to it's much more profitable to acquire a new customer than it is to retain an existing one. If you think about accounting, it's set up to quantify. You were at zero, now you're at £200 per year. Brilliant, £200, new money. It's very hard for accounting to deal with. Well, that customer is still at 200, but they wouldn't have been here altogether if we hadn't taken or intervened in this way. There are no accounting standards for loyalty sort of economics. So we have more segmentations ultimately than we have customers. And we deal with about 350 million customers around the world for a whole range of brands and sort of retailers. And the trick is, what is the view of which customer you're going to present to who in order to make what decision? Because decision you need to make around, the ranging of products in the store is a different set of data than you want to present to a store manager. When you're building the brand plan and the brand strategy and the media strategy, again, you want to look at a different cut of the data. So how do you have all this rich transactional, behavioural, attitudinal information? How do you bring it all together, and how do you serve the right information to the right customers, if you like, the customers within your organisation to make the right decisions at the right time with the right data? And this sort of piece around traditional sort of market research, sort of needs, perceptions, behaviour, lifestyle, aspirations. Again, we have to be really, really careful of what are we actually asking customers. Are we asking customers something they aspire to, or are we asking customers about what they need? You have to be very, very precise in your definitions of sort of market research. So I wouldn't get too depressed with some of the statistics that you see around, 60% of customers are disengaged. No technological breakthrough has ever passed a focus group in its life. Customers don't know what they don't know. They can't see what they can't see today. You have the opportunity to build, propositions, to build consumer offers, frankly, to help them live a simpler, better value, easier life. And if you think of those in those contexts, of course customers are going to respond. So who doesn't want a better life, a simpler life, and a cheaper life? It's kind of like what we all aspire to. So, as I say, don't get sort of too depressed when customers tell you, well, I don't really understand it. And of course, as you talked about earlier, they're impacted by some of the market practices and some of the sort of business culture that exists today. So what we're trying to do is use data to initially, if you like, differentiate the customer experience. So when you're talking about stores, it's not really, if you like, one-to-one, but how do you make every store feel like it's designed for the customers who shop it? How do you build a pricing and promotional plan that responds to the different needs of different customer groups? We look at the world today, everyone is looking for value. Everyone is aspiring to something that frankly takes them away from the gloom and doom of the economic environment. But what those aspirations are and what that need for value is very different in very different sort of customer segments, and we've got to make it come alive for them in store. And what's really happening on this trip from differentiation is actually a move to personalization. Because there are increasing sort of technologies where we can actually talk to customers, one-to-one. So when you go onto the website, the experience that you see, the offers that you have are different from the person sort of next to you. And of course, mobile telephony, the smartphone, is making more of these experiences sort of come alive and more of the opportunity to personalize the experience. I think Neil used the phrase that smart is inherently more complex. I think that's absolutely true. Obviously, the challenge is how do you make it appear simple and elegant to the customer? And those of you who crack the code on what simple and elegant looks like will build trust, will earn loyalty, and will be the winners in this sort of marketplace sort of going forward. But customers have amazing expectations of what you do with data. Just to be sort of clear on this, it's going to hit you with an absolute sort of train if it hasn't already. You knew that I was using my kettle at 10:30. You've got a bloody meter that tells you. Well, we didn't actually. We kind of had it in 30-minute segments. But they're expectations that once you're collecting data, you're going to do really smart things with it to help them, be smarter, be better, create more value, help them in their households is sort of huge. So I just tried to pull together 10 things that I've learned along the way. We've definitely learned that our best acquisition strategy for any retailer is growing loyalty and focusing on loyal customers. Now, I understand it's different in this world, but I think as a mindset, if you only ever think about winning the new and not keeping what you've got, of course, it is the original leaky bath, and it drives you down a set of behaviors, a set of values, a set of rewards and behaviors that I think are perhaps very different from the ones you actually want to create to win with long term. Loyalty always starts with you, not with the customer. Customers aren't loyal, not because of them, but because of what you do. Never accept a customer average. I made a mistake once at a conference of saying, if anyone uses a customer average, shoot them. So the guy next to me talked about customer averages, and given I was in America at the time, luckily no one actually carried out the mission. As I said, profitability is your problem, not the customer's. The transactional data that you have today and you're going to collect is extraordinarily powerful and is going to allow you to build strategies on that understanding. So, you are what you do. You are the utilities, the gas and electricity that you consume, and make sure that you put that together with the sort of attitudinal information in the sort of the right way. Link all your data and research together around the customer. Yes, data is your number one strategic asset, and I truly believe that for any organization. Susan in the panel session said effectively number 7, which is reward the behavior you seek, which is you've got to go out and create models, create offers that actually get and reward consumers for doing what you want them to do. Use insight to drive every aspect of the communications. There is no longer this kind of left brain, right brain world, where brand advertising and the like is not driven by data. It's got to be connected, and it's got to become a sort of one-to-one manifestation for most customers, matching up and building up into brand-type communication. Engage your organization in the journey, engage every associate in your journey of customer understanding, and engage your ecosystem, the broader the set of suppliers. The people who influence your service, your capability, your delivery need to have the similar level understanding of your strategy, your segments, what you're actually trying to deliver for every sort of customer. So in simple terms, it's about putting the customer at the center, using data to change the experience, personalizing that experience. I think, rather than creating offers for groups of customers, you do have the opportunity to create truly personalized prices. It's coming in personalized promotions in retailing today, so you already see promotions from various retailers that are specifically targeted to you, which I think leads us ultimately to different pricing for different customers, and I think that's the world in which you could live, and indeed you can build sort of propositions around. And obviously not to underestimate the cultural change for organizations that you're going to have to take your businesses through based on this data, based on this insight. It is a huge change program of the highest order that you are in the process of undertaking. And well, as I said, getting your businesses and your boards and your CEOs' head around that this is not just about, not about just data, not just about pricing, not about customer propositions. This is truly about sort of cultural change for your organisation. So look, we're busily trying to personalise the world's experience of retailers and brands, as I say, for about 350 million customers around the world today. And I just wanted to share in a very sort of brief 20 minutes, as I understand lunch is a few minutes away from being served, some observations from our world to see if they help in your world. So thank you very much.